All right. Hello. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to our weekly conference call. Matt Ham here, co founder of Uprint, Faith and Personal Development, alongside the team at Red Earth Marketing. I was talking with John in the office. He was out of town last week visiting some properties on the road, and it's wild that we kind of entered into this endeavor in January, not really knowing what to expect. And here we are in September, 8 months later, through one of the craziest seasons in recent history. And hopefully, you guys have found this Tuesday call as a little bit of stability in the midst of a seemingly unstable environment. I mean, we've been here every Tuesday without fail for 8 months. And, it's interesting because that's a little bit of what I want to talk about today, this concept of consistency and how that is really truly all that matters. Being consistent. There's something really profound about building a reputation of consistency and doing what you say you're going to do, and that is kind of a foundational piece of excellence. Today's title that I gave the call was the idea of be the rising tide. Be the rising tide. I created a little graphic here. Learn to focus on the process of excellence. And so, I wanted to jump into this today and hopefully give you guys some nuggets to attach yourselves to attach your hearts to. So we're gonna dive right in. A lot of what I'm going to share to start off today comes from my own personal experience of starting my own company and really having to learn the hard way about what to do and what not to do. And that's been a process ongoing up until recently, like last month, because as you can imagine, you guys all know this season, the external things going on this season have been bonkers crazy, right? And it's affected all of us in many ways, and so we've had to adapt and learn how do we begin to navigate with these ever evolving things. But consistency is a way to really break through that. And I was losing a little bit of focus and letting my attitude kind of wane and dip and losing perspective. But, one of the things that I'm very fortunate to have is a business partner. A lot of folks say don't go into business and have partners and, do what you want to do when you go into business. And what I'm not really hinting at here is I'm not telling you to get a partner, but I am telling you it's important to have somebody that you're accountable to. And that's honestly what you guys need to understand in your own daily lives, but in your business lives as well. And that's one of the functions of those in management or in leadership is to keep people accountable. Because it's really easy to kind of cut corners and maybe stop doing things with consistency or excellence. And if nobody's holding you accountable, then you kind of float into nothingness, right? Or float into mediocrity, right? One of the things that we say at Uprint, this is kind of a catchphrase for us, is the gravity of comfort is mediocrity. The gravity of comfort is mediocrity. When you get lost in a trap of comfort, you just float toward mediocrity. It's like a magnetic thing. It pulls you to mediocrity. And I think most folks who would say that, hey, what are we going to do? I want to live a mediocre life, right? I want to live just average is good for me. That most of you would not be in the field you're in if that's what your heart's desire was. And maybe right now you've settled for a level of mediocrity or a level of comfort because of frustrations and challenges. But deep down underneath it all, you got in this business because you said, you know what? I want to do something different with my life. I want excellence. I want to go after something. I want to leave my mark. I want to have an impact. I want to have a legacy. I want something great. And so today I want to rekindle that flame, that fire. What's happened with the external circumstances is they've tried to come in over top of us, if you can see my hands here, and be like a wet blanket to our excellence, a wet blanket to our joy. And we got to fight for it every day. You got to get up and get rolling. And so one of the things that happened recently is part of what we do as an organization is I do these calls with multiple teams. I also offer kind of one-to-one, more intentional one-to-one kind of what I would call coaching, which is more targeted, specific. We actually have also one-to-one discipleship or mentoring, which is a more in-depth kind of process of taking folks through a trajectory of discovering their why, their purpose, their gifting, and then beginning to go live that out. But another thing that I do on regular occasion is we have a community of people we send text messages out to every day. And I have made it a point to go through and pray for a certain number of those individuals every day, and then send them a message every day to let them know that we are praying for them. We're wanting to build community here. Well, last week or a couple weeks ago, I fell off a couple days, right? And I said, you know what? I didn't have time today. I just got busy, which is a lie. I just took other things on my schedule and I fell off. And my business partner called me on it. And he said, hey, man, I'm just checking in. What happened with, those couple days of praying for the community? And I said, man, well, I did pray for them, which was true. I said, I just didn't get around to actually sending them out the messaging, letting them know. And he wrote me back and he said this, and I'm going to give this to you guys. This is a gift to you. It was a gift to me, and it hurt a little bit, so it might hurt a little bit, but I think it really has the power to change an environment. My business partner, who I love and care for very much, and we have a great relationship, he looked at me and he said, man, I am challenging you to treat this with the highest regard. This is big league stuff. Build it with excellence. And that's accountability. That's leadership. And I'm challenging you guys to be that way to one another, and also, of course, within the leadership dynamics, to be that way to one another. And the bottom line is kind of the overarching theme today is be the rising tide. We're all waiting on a rising tide to float our boat. We're waiting on environments to change. We're waiting on the virus to go away. We're waiting on this person to get elected. We're waiting on the weather to cool off. No. That's the absolute wrong perspective if you're taking that perspective into every day. Be the rising tide instead of waiting on it. Now, again, you say, well, Matt, I can't control the tide. True, you can't. The tide's like clockwork. Comes in, it goes out, comes in, goes out, that kind of thing. But you can be the rising tide when it comes to your daily activity, your daily mindset, your daily actions, all that kind of stuff. And so, last night I got a group of men I meet with every Monday night. I've told you guys this before, and we were talking with this group of guys, and I just felt so profoundly in the moment. I said, guys, we have to be the rising tide. Now, I know you Alabama folks, down there, you want to go roll tide. I don't want to hear it, but I understand. I get it. We got football coming up hopefully here soon. From what I can tell, it looks like ACC, SEC are going to try to play some football, which praise the Lord for that. I'm all for it. But be the rising tide that floats all the boats. You see, when you bring excellence to the table without compromise, when you bring joy to the table without compromise, when you bring consistency to the table without compromise, you float the boats around you. You float the boats around you. Be the rising tide. Guys, this is a really, really powerful thing because right now, everybody's waiting on the tide to rise instead of being the one that rises the tide around them. You see, when you move toward excellence, when you move toward consistency, it has a way of bringing others into that excellence that are around you. And so with that mindset, okay, that's kind of like one of those cliche motivational things, You guys aren't allowed to go put this on the internet. If you do, you make sure you don't quote me because I'm going to see it on the post on Instagram, be the rising tide. Because without context, it's just other words, It's another motivational, platitude that people just, whatever. But the point is you have to begin to own it. So how do you begin to own being the rising tide? And this is what it looked like for me. I'm going to show you this. This is actually here. I'm going to show it to the screen. I'm going to show it to this screen, right? And you guys can see the video here. What I did was I mapped out my calendar and began to own my days, right? And I broke down my activity into daily required activity, weekly required activity, and then what I call process I called Focus on the Process. So let me give you an example here, and you guys are going to have to relate this to your own business. I'm giving you it from mine. Daily activities for me within our organization, right? Every single day without fail, 5 days a week, what do I have to do? I've got to get up. I've got to check our system for new subscriptions. I have to begin to pray for folks within our community. I have to begin to contact one of our mentoring partners. And then I have to make sure that my own personal daily moment of joy and meditation and exercise and all that kind of stuff is legit, right? So those are daily things that I have to do that I cannot compromise on. I don't care if it's 5 degrees and snowing, or if it's 105 and the world's on fire. Nothing can stop me from doing those things. Okay? I'm going to have to be dead for those things not to happen. Those are my daily process things. Now, within my weekly process things, well, listen, I've got my call with Red Earth. I've got my call with our other organizations. We've got our radio show on Wednesday. I've got to edit our podcast. There's weekly activity that has to be done. And there's no excuses on not doing it and not doing it with excellence, right? And then I have focus on the process. So these are like seed planting activities that I do. So calling on new businesses, looking at kind of updates on billing and all that kind of stuff for people that need to be reached out to. Our monthly group meetings. We have a weekly kind of home church gathering, right? So that's all me. What I'm getting back to is you guys. What are your daily activities? I would challenge you guys to come up with 3 to 5 daily activities that you do without compromise. No excuses, no little league, these are the things I'm going to do. Every single day, rain, sleet, hail, snow, shine, tornado, hurricane, whatever, I'm going to do them, okay? And then list them out. So part of being a rising tide is saying I'm going to commit to excellence, and I'm going to commit to consistency, and I'm going to be the person that no matter what, you're going to see me out here doing this. I love the story of Tiger Woods back when he was at Stanford playing golf in college. It's raining outside, and the golf team's all huddled in the locker room. They look out on the range, and Tiger Woods is out there hitting golf balls on the range, And, he's the greatest golfer that's ever lived, in my opinion. And there's a dedication, a commitment to excellence there, right? And this isn't about your strength, your hard work, and look at me, I've done this for 7 days in a row. It's just about bringing your heart to the table to say, I know who I am, I know what I'm going after, and nothing's going to stop me from doing it. And I'm just going to keep going, keep planting seeds, keep being excellent, trusting the process that the fruit will come in time. So daily activities, 3 to 5. Now, what about your weekly activities? Okay. There are probably 3 to 5 weekly activities that you have to do. Do you send out a newsletter or an email to your current, purchasers or your current, former buyers, previous buyers? Do you send out handwritten notes to people that toured? What is the situation there, right? Now, here's the key. You've got to have these things in place, and they've got to be on a list of, I'm not going to compromise on these because here's what happens. Oh gosh, Mr. Smith called, they got a fire, there's a checklist item over here on the house that didn't happen. Oh, the funding didn't come through on this deal. Oh, so-and-so needs a picture of this. Oh, this builder called and need that. So when you don't have your your list of things you won't compromise on, everything else takes priority. And then you go, oh yeah, I forgot what's going on. Let's see what's going on here on Facebook. Let's see, oh man, did you read this article? Only 6% of COVID cases. Oh man, Trump said that. Or oh my gosh, look at this. And whoop, you're gone. Game over. You just chased a rabbit that had nothing to do with who you are or what you're about, and you ran off in another direction. And guess what? You're not the rising tide. You're not floating all boats around you. And again, that is just a mindset that you have to bring to the table. And going to the tagline today is the process of excellence. The process of excellence is about waking up every day, knowing where you're going, and being willing to take the faithful steps in order to continue to move in that direction with consistency, excellence, bringing everything to the table. So you've got your daily activity list, 3 to 5. You got your weekly activity list, 3 to 5. Then you have to have consistent things that you do every day. Not every day, it's like a rhythm you get in. For me, I am very good at reaching out to friends. Now, it might seem silly because you're like, what does that have to do with anything? People know who you are. They know what you do. So begin to invest in them in authentic relationship. When's the last time you've gone through your phone and you've picked out 2 of your friends that have nothing to do with getting you business, nothing, and you just called them and said, hey man, what's up? I just wanted to call and check on you, see how you're doing. Not to see what you can get, but from an authentic place of investment. I do that on a regular basis. I open up when I'm going on a car ride or I've got an hour transition, I'll pop something on Facebook. Hey guys, my phone is open. I've got an hour of windshield time. If anyone needs to talk or needs prayer, give me a call. Guess what? Sometimes nobody calls. And I don't go, oh, see, I shouldn't have done it. Nobody called. Nope. I do it. Next time I do it. And guess what? People call. And you can be there for them. And then guess what happens? This is a great example. We are getting ready to launch what we're calling portable communities within our business model. And portable communities are basically things like we're engaging in, but I'm doing this private for, a business. So the business has contracted me to come in once a week and do these. I'm actually training people up on how to do this and then take it over here to their group of people and in more of a public sphere. So we got a single mom right now who lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and she is launching a portable single moms community in Nashville, Tennessee. She's going to connect with single moms in that community, and she's going to begin pouring into them, being there for them, offering them help if they need it through our nonprofit work. They're going to go through some content, some teaching resources that we provide, and we're just going to kind of rock and roll and see what happens. But we're real pumped about these things. But here's why I tell you that story. That single mom that's launching that group, I met her at a conference 4 years ago. And we said hello and stayed in touch on social media, but I made it a point to stay in touch. Hey, how you doing? What's going on with this? What's going on with this or whatever? And she came into a really difficult time in her life, and she called me one night really upset. And I took the call and I said, I'm here to help. How can I help you? With no expectation on what I would get from it. But that conversation led her to a conversation with my business partner, Kevin, through our mentoring and discipleship program. And she's met with him without fail almost every week for 2 years until she gets to the point where she says, you know what? I really feel like I'm supposed to launch a single moms network and community. And so I'm telling you that story to say, had I not taken that phone call from her, had I not been available to her, had I not been consistent, had I not brought excellence to the table 4 years ago, had I not been the rising tide, none of this would have happened. So you guys are planting seeds right now with consistency, with excellence, right? Being that rising tide with your attitude and your actions, and you're not looking at the outside world on fire. You're just marching forward. You're going, you know who you are. You know where you're going. You keep going. The seeds that you plant are going to bear fruit in time. And that's trusting the process and walking through the situation in and with faith. And so that kind of wraps it up for me today. But again, wanting to make sure that you guys take this from an idea into some practical steps. Daily activities, 3 to 5. Weekly activities, 3 to 5. Put them on your calendar. Commit to them in your heart. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is what excellence look like. And then bigger picture things, right? Like reaching out to friends or, calling on builders or just going to take a lunch to somebody, whatever these things are. They're not daily things you have to do, but they're process things that you do every now and again that all funnel into being that rising tide where people go, you know what? That person, that Jen, you know what I mean? Or that Brian or that Kim, they're always there. They're consistent. They're reliable. They're excellent. And that, my friends, is what is going to separate you from the rest of the world who just lives in their constant comfort and complaint, and they get in these cycles of negativity. But that's not who you guys are. And I know that. You guys have excellence in your DNA, and it's time to begin living that out. It's time for us to be the rising tide. Be the rising tide today. All right, that wraps up today's call. You guys, if you need anything, 910-619-4644. That's my cell, matt@uprint.life. Y'all have a great week.